That's right. You're right here with Golden Blue. And right now, I still am the reigning Slob Olympics champion. There you go. It is official. Which, by the way, this thing has been engraved for a while, but I like messing with people. Slob Olympics will be starting. I think it's a week from this Saturday. It's not that far away. 8 or 9 days away. So I'm pretty excited about that. But we're not talking about that tonight. I just wanted to brag about something. I needed something to brag about because as a West Virginia fan, we went through a terrible season last year in football. And this year in basketball, sometimes we look great and sometimes we look terrible. So I had to figure out something to brag about. And so there you go. I'm still the reigning Slob Olympic champion. Anyways, tonight, once again, we will be talking about the Pac-12. And once again, I'm hearing all sorts of things. 365 Sports was reporting that the Arizona State athletic director said that they do have a deal. It's not great, but it's enough, barely enough to keep the Pac-12 intact. And then I heard from other different sources that were saying Pac-12 rejected decisively the thought of giving Apple TV deal and going all streaming. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, we haven't heard an announcement about that, so I don't know. But anyways, before we go any further, make sure to hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting on? Hit the subscribe button. We do videos every single day. We do a lot of speculation videos, a lot of what-if videos, but we also do, real news videos as well. And as the season gets closer, we'll actually do season prediction videos and get into the meat of what actually makes college football, and that's the college football action itself. So I'm going to try to get as many preseason predictions done for as many teams as possible. I think last year I got like 50 done. The year before I got like 25, so I doubled up. This year I'm going to try to get to 100, at least 100. We'll see what happens. But tonight I actually have a couple more than a couple. I have several guests for you tonight. First up, the guy behind Golden Blue. You see me. You see some of this guy sometimes. So the first guy is Joey Foster. What's going on, bud?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm ready to talk some football.
Man. Another day, another Golden Blue day. You know what I'm saying?
It's always a Golden Blue day, man. You're on fire. You're on fire, man.
But you know what? We're not gonna stop there. We also have a guy that goes by the name of Twisted Rooster. This guy is an up and coming YouTuber. He has a channel. Not sure if he has any videos out on his new channel yet. What's the word on the street about that, Twisted Rooster?
Yeah, we got a few channels going on the Twisted Chicken Cooking channel, but we're working on it. Every weekend's a task, and I really do appreciate you guys bringing us on your channel and promoting us. And that shows
I'm gonna tell
great DVD.
No
I'm
problem.
Tell everybody.
You're part of the network, so I try to give everybody that's part of this network some exposure.
Yep, and we appreciate it. We really do.
Go ahead, Joey.
I was going to say later on here a little bit, I'm going to give everybody an update on what's going on with everything, so that they will know what's happening around this whole network of everybody that we have. So I'm going to give everybody a good update here.
All right, that'll work. But we also have one more guest, and he goes by the name of Mayhem Matthew. He is a Georgia fan. He also has his own YouTube channel, so go check out his channel when you get a chance. What's going on, buddy?
What's up? How y'all doing tonight? Thank you for allowing me to come on and talk some Pac-12 football with you.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to focus on Pac-12 football, but we'll talk about the entire nation. But right now, the buzz of the town is Pac-12 football. But what do you got going on over there on your channel, Mayhem?
Well, a lot of people know me as Mayhem Matthew. I still go by Mayhem Matthew, but I have a new channel as Eat 'em Dogs. Mainly talking about Georgia recruiting and Georgia football, but we talk about all kinds of football over there. Can't wait to start pushing out some more content. I've been sick the past week and a half or so I haven't been able to get some content out there, but no worries. Going to get some content out there for y'all.
Yeah, I had the stomach bug the other day, so Joey had to fill in for me. But I know you're coming to the Slobs a week from Saturday, and this is what you'll be coming for, right, buddy? You'll be coming for this.
Oh yes,
Well,
I tried to come for it. I tried to come for it last year. Was unsuccessful, but this is my year, 2023. Going to take home the trophy.
I respect that. You know what? This year it's going to be different too, as far as whoever wins. If I am dethroned and whoever wins it, like this is going to be like I'm going to try to work with Lou and see if we can create some type of ceremony. I don't think it was done quite right last year, so this year we're going to try to make sure the passing of the trophy is done a little bit better. I think it should be, sort of a tradition. You're passing on from the old champion to the new champion.
Well, I will say this. Just I haven't really talked a lot of smack, but I'll throw my 2 cents in there. But Pigskin Pete, I mean, if you're listening, you said this is your home turf, but I lived in South Carolina my whole life and not that far away from the place. So, I mean, you could say it's my home turf, especially whenever I win it.
Uh-oh.
I'll be claiming that as my home turf. So, there you go.
He's going to plant his flag. That's what he's going to do, right? You're going to plant your flag. By the way, I actually live in the upstate of South Carolina, but I'll still give him, the title of home turf because that's down in the Low Country. Now I'm up here in the upstate. But anyways, a lot of crazy things going on in the Pac-12. We've heard this has been a crazy story because it changes on a day-to-day basis almost. Like it started out as, the Pac-12 is looking to make more than the Big 12. They're looking at like a 35-40 million per team per year. ESPN has a lot of faith in the Pac-12, and they're going to lock that down. And then that turned into, actually, they're thinking about, doing ESPN and Amazon in the tier 2, tier 1 rights. And it's going to be around 25-30 million per team.
After apostrophe, there's no space. It's Edom, one word. Sorry, speak on, but I'm telling you about something. Thought I turned my mic off, but I didn't.
Oh, okay, I got you. So it went from, what sounded like to be a good deal to a lesser deal. And then the tiers switched. Then people were saying, well, no, now Amazon is looking to get the tier 1 and tier 2 rights, and ESPN is just going to be a filler. And ESPN actually pulled their deal and reoffered, and now it's down to 20 million per team per year. And then after that, we heard that the Pac-12 is interested in going all in on streaming. All in. Not just a little bit, but all in. And the main producer would have been Apple TV. And we heard that all the teams weren't happy, especially Washington, Oregon. And then earlier today, I heard 365 reporting that the Arizona State athletic director came out and said, no, we do have a TV deal. It's not a good TV deal, but it's enough to keep the Pac-12 together. But a few hours after that, I heard some different sources saying that, well, no, actually, most of the Pac-12 is saying they rejected the idea. I have no idea what's going on in the Pac-12. All we're hearing is hearsay. There's no announcement or anything like that. So that tells me the fact that there hasn't been an announcement, that raises some red flags. Every day that goes by without an announcement, whether it's expansion or a TV deal, to me is just more indicative of more and more bad news for the Pac-12. Do y'all have any faith in the Pac-12 that they can pull this off?
I do have faith that they can pull everything off and keep everybody together. But the more it's not just stuff you're reading on Twitter or Facebook. You're seeing this stuff from sources like CBS and ESPN and things that some of these teams are unhappy. They're not happy with the deal. They're looking at the Big 12. They're thinking about the Big 10. It's like some of these teams, they want to do something, make some moves. Now, will they? I don't know, because we know that the money in the Big 12 is $20 million. That if they come to the Big 12, the Big 12 gets $20 million for any team that joins Power 5 level team.
That's the baseline, though.
Right, that's the baseline. So, then you'd have to negotiate everything out and figure out a contract. I don't know how big their contract's going to be, but apparently it's not very good. It seems like they're not liking it. And I know at one time, and I guess they still are, Oregon and Washington wanted a bigger cut of everything. So
Yep.
that could be creating some turmoil there. So I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, do I believe Tony Altomore? And of course, Tony says it's fine, and he's talked to some sources there and things, and he's the Pac-12 guy. So I mean, I believe him, but there's got to be something going on. But there's smoke, there's fire, and it's not just Twitter and Facebook groups. It's CBS and ESPN and Fox Sports and everybody talking like this.
Yeah, exactly. Mayhem Matthew, just from what you've seen, what you've heard, what's your thoughts about the Pac-12? Do you think they're in trouble, or do you think they're fine?
I mean, I think they're pretty fine. We saw last year, which I know a lot of the teams that were good in the Pac-12 are going different places. I understand that. But that does give the Pac-12 a good name. I mean, you almost had USC, which I do understand that they're moving on to the Big Ten, but it still gives the Pac-12 a good name that they almost made the playoffs. They came up just a little bit shy, and they will still have them for a whole nother year to get the Pac-12 some exposure. I think a lot of realignments is going to probably shock some people in the Pac-12. You still got Deion Sanders at Colorado. Maybe they can. A lot of people are having high standards with him. With that being said, I do think with the help of these colleges that they will come to they will find a deal. They'll come to a deal, and they should be pretty fine.
Yeah, I can understand that. What about you, Rooster? What are your thoughts on the Pac-12? Give me your gut feeling. Don't overthink this. Don't go to your second option. What does your gut feeling tell you about the Pac-12 right now?
Well, my gut feeling would tell me if the Big 12 were to take Pac-12 teams, who brings value to the Big 12? As far as the Pac-12 and trying to get a TV deal through just streaming strictly, it doesn't bring, like, for us over here on the East Coast, if we're going to watch a Pac-12 game, I'm not going to stream it. But if it's on ESPN or one of the bigger networks, of course I'll watch it. If you got Oregon, Washington, a lot of these games we'll all watch, but I'm not going to pay a streaming service for that. So is the deal they're getting really worth it?
Right. That's the point that I've been trying to make. And that's why I kind of took what the Arizona State athletic director, what he said with a grain of salt, because sure, maybe it's a deal and maybe it, keeps everybody together now, but they're going to see their numbers after a year or so, and they're going to be bad numbers because streaming is not the now. Streaming is the future. I do think the future will be streaming, but you can't bring the future to now. Nobody's going to purchase Apple TV or whatever platform, Amazon, just to watch the Pac-12. It's not happening. And people that already have it, I mean, what are the chances that they are college football fans that want to watch the Pac-12? The chances are not very good, slim to none, actually. But you on linear cable, if they're on ESPN, then if it's on, you're going to watch it, even if it's going up against something else. Because I don't know about you, I'm a channel flipper. If it's a blowout over here and you switch over to the Pac-12 and it's a competitive game, I'm going to check it out.
Now, I do have something to say about that. So, I know we're not talking about the NFL, but we are talking about Amazon here. So last year they did that Thursday night football on Amazon Prime. So if the Pac-12 were to do a deal with Amazon, I don't know how many Pac-12 people watch NFL, but if they already have the package with the NFL Thursday night football, maybe that could be something that the Pac-12 is interested in, trying to get more viewership from Thursday night football guys, and then also with Apple. I mean, a lot of people have iPhones. A lot of people already have Apple TV, just because Apple is just. I mean, let's just say it. I mean, Apple is just huge. So I think with that being said, I think probably Amazon will probably be the better fit if you're asking my personal opinion on that, just because of that NFL ties with the Thursday night football.
Yeah, they have so
Now let me ask this: so if they did, See, I didn't even know they did a Thursday night show on their. What was their numbers? Do you remember? Do you know what their numbers were? Did you ever look
well,
it
I
up?
don't know what their numbers were, but I'm hearing that the presentation itself was terrible.
You know, that'd
But
be
I don't
interesting to
have
know what was the numbers.
I never watched it, so I don't know. That's just
But
from what
think
people have
about
told.
this: it's got to be so intimidating to be the commissioner of the Big 12, and here's why. How do you pitch the Big 12? How do you pitch it to the Pac-12? You know, because we're spread
You're
out.
on linear
So
cable, and
how do
they're
you pitch
not.
that?
You're gonna have more viewership over here, and they're not.
Well, yeah, you can pitch that idea, but then you're also pitching the idea that you get to fly across the country to UCF, West Virginia, and Cincinnati. You know, so
Well, but there's so many members in the Big 12 that they can limit that. They can probably rotate it to
good.
where if they do have to play on the road to one of those teams, it's one every year.
Well, they could do it to where, you know, they just do it like you said, one every year, and because you would be every 4 years, you'd have to play them because they would come to you one year, and if you just play them every other year, they could set it up in like a pod system, like I've heard the SEC is going to do. It's not really pods, but it sort of is. They could do it like that and put West Virginia, Cincinnati, and UCF in their own pod. That wouldn't be a bad idea, a bad way to do it.
Here's the problem I have with Amazon and the NFL being on Thursday nights. The quality of what they did to Thursday night football was not very good. I mean,
Nope.
like the camera angle, the production of the show, it didn't match up with what you get off of the major networks. I understand it, and they want to try to do something different, and they spend a lot of money getting the guys to go over there and do the game, but it just like the quality when you watched it from I don't know, maybe it was the cameras or whatever it was. It didn't put the quality out we're used to seeing.
Now, maybe the quality wasn't the best in the world, that we're used to being seeing on like ESPN or SEC Network or name your best network, but like I feel like this year, whenever Russell Wilson went to the Broncos, that first Thursday night football, I didn't have Amazon Prime, so I had to sign up for their free trial. I mean, I really wanted to see how he was going to do. I thought he was going to be really good with the Broncos, but turned out he was a bust. But anyways, I mean, with the Pac-12, like I said earlier, with them being as good as they were last year, and they still got one more year with a lot of these good teams that are going to be good next year. Maybe you'll have some people sign up for it, and just maybe you'll have better quality. I mean,
Let me
college
ask you
is
this:
better than pros, anyways.
do you think it's not going to affect the Pac-12 or recruiting at all? That they will never have a game day, and that they will never have a noon kickoff. What's the Fox one called? The Fox noon kickoff, whatever it's called. They'll never be able to have that because they're going total streaming. I mean, that has to affect them as well. They're never going to have game day, and they're never going to have high noon Fox. What is the name for that? I knew
Isn't
it
it
before.
Big Noon Fox? Big Noon Fox? Or
There we go.
I'm not sure.
Big noon
Yeah,
kickoff, I think that's what it is. Big
Well,
noon kickoff on Fox.
Big
But either way, if they're going total streaming, they have no chance of getting that. So there's strike one. Strike two is they're counting on Pac-12 fans and beyond, because they want to reach people beyond the Pac-12 to have Apple TV, and if they're doing a deal with Amazon as well, to be subscribed to those services, right? Well, it's almost a guarantee under normal circumstances that everybody has linear cable. So that's a gamble. That's strike two right there. And then what about the money? Now, I've heard anywhere between 25 million, 20 million, all the way up to 35 million. If it's 35 million, that's stupid by Apple because they're not going to get the viewership to validate the 35 million. So I want to see the TV deal itself. That there's strike three. I haven't seen the TV deal. I don't know, what the tiers are, who's getting what. Are there going to be any games on ESPN? Because I think that's the thing that would really hurt the Pac-12. And from what I'm hearing from those sources that told me that the Pac-12, most of the Pac-12 members rejected the idea of going total streaming, is they were upset that ESPN is not involved in the discussion as of right now. I don't know if they're completely dismissing them or if they're going to get tier 2, tier 3 rights to ESPN. I don't know. But to me, if you stack that all together, that looks like a terrible deal in the grand scheme of things. It might be a good deal as far as money-wise. It might be enough to keep the Pac-12 together for a little while. But the overall picture is just like, it doesn't make sense to me. It really, really doesn't. I mean, all the other conferences either have a great TV deal through ESPN and Fox or an okay TV deal with ESPN and Fox. And then you have the Pac-12 who's deciding to go all streaming. And yeah, maybe it's a good deal, but I don't think it's going to pay off. I don't. You're taking a huge gamble, and now's not the time to do that. Now is not the time to take that huge gamble. Larry Pilgrim, thank you for the $5 donation, says, Apple already sells games to linear networks, and Apple production is said to be light years ahead of Amazon from folks with Apple Live Sports. Well, I hope that's true for the sake of Pac-12 as far as being light years ahead of Amazon. I haven't seen the head-to-head numbers, so it will be interesting to see that. And I'm not trying to come at the angle to where I hope the Pac-12 fails, because I don't. I actually want the Pac-12 to succeed. I miss the Pac-12 being relevant. I remember back when USC was dominant. I mean, it was a true upset when Texas beat USC in that national championship back in the early 2000s. I remember that. And then Pete Carroll went to the Seattle Seahawks, and they kind of fell apart. And then we had Oregon make a run in the playoffs, and Washington got to the playoffs but got blasted by Alabama. And then ever since, it's been a no-show for the Pac-12. They had a chance last year to get the playoffs, and you had USC in there and Utah. Utah had, 3 losses going in there, and they upset USC and basically knocked out the Pac-12. And people were pointing fingers at USC for losing, and people were pointing fingers at Utah for winning. But at the same time, you could also point the finger at Washington, because had they not lost to Arizona State, they would have been to the Pac-12 championship with 1 loss. And it would have been 1 loss Washington versus 1 loss USC. Winner would have gotten in to the playoffs, no doubt about it. Like, there's not even a question. The winner of that game, a 1-loss Pac-12 champion, would have gotten in over a 2-loss non-champion Ohio State. So it's the Pac-12 getting in their own way. It's the leadership making stupid decisions. He didn't make sure that he locked down a TV deal as soon as possible, unlike the Big 12. They had, honestly, if you ask me who has the better brands, the Pac-12 has the better brands, folks. Okay? They have Washington, they have Oregon, they have Utah. Even if they're losing USC and UCLA, if you want to go head-to-head premium brands, Oregon, Washington, Utah, premium brands. Look at the Big 12 after they lose Oklahoma and Texas. Who are the premium brands? I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to say I don't see any.
Yeah, I don't see any either. I mean, there's going to be a name in Colorado just because of Dion, but that's all going to depend on how well Dion does too. If Dion gets in there and flops, it's going to hurt him. So now we know Dion did a great job, coaching at a lower level, but when you get to a Power 5 and you got to be a CEO of a corporation, pretty much, it's a different story. We see it all the time. Coaches can be great at schools where they actually get to coach. Then they go to a big school like Colorado, and they're more public relations people and being on television, getting interviews and everything else, while the coaching staff coaches. They might do some game preparation and stuff, but that they don't get to actually coach like they do in the lower levels. So, how much will Dion make a difference here? That's remains to be seen. And then Colorado could have a name again. Colorado used to be have a good name. So,
yeah, they won a national championship in the early '90s.
Yeah.
Well, there's really good brands in Big 12. You got West Virginia, you got Oklahoma State, you got all that. But
Yeah, but they're
the
not
pitch
premium.
for Apple to what's the numbers of Apple like subscribers in the area that the Pac-12's in? Here's the question: if you're going to go Apple, how many? That means you're telling everyone that's a Pac-12 fan they have to switch to an Apple brand to watch football. So,
Yes.
so what's the money value? Is it a good for Apple? Yes, but is it good for the Pac-12? I don't think so.
Right. That's the
Yeah, I don't
issue.
think so either.
Right. I'm not saying that Apple's not going to be a good provider. You know, I've heard that they're going to sell games to networks on TV. I don't know how that works, but there's going to be a lot of games, the majority of games actually, to where if you're not subscribed to Apple TV, you're not going to be able to watch the games. I think that's the biggest hump that I can't get over. Like if it's on linear cable, it's, you know, you just have cable. Everybody has cable. But with this, it's like, okay, if I want to watch, you have to make a decision. Do I like the Pac-12 enough? If you don't already have Apple TV and enjoy it, and you don't really know anything about it, because I'm not subscribed to Apple TV, and I'm not going to subscribe to Apple TV because of the Pac-12. That doesn't move the needle for me. Is that going to move the needle for
me.
anybody? Hey, the Pac-12 is going to be on here. That makes me subscribe to Apple TV.
Right. So like I'm the same. I like if West Virginia, you know, the Big 12 announced we're going to go to Apple, and that meant I had to buy Apple products. I probably just wouldn't watch. I would just wait until it showed up on YouTube later that night to watch the game.
Yeah.
I would not buy an Apple product. I'm an Android man. I'm a Microsoft man. I do not buy Apple products. So I mean, that's where I don't think they need to stay away from isolating themselves. That's just isolating yourself to one company. They got to stay away from that. They've got to go big.
Speaking of YouTube, why didn't they try to grab a deal with YouTube TV? That's the direction that I would.
That's what I would do.
I would have gone the direction of YouTube TV.
I would have
too.
YouTube TV, Disney, ESPN, all that is still kind of like together, you know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to speaking of the Pac-12, a lot of people, you know, that are high up, like kind of like Paul Feinbaum or whatever, he believes like the Pac-12 will probably, you know, merge with somebody. And what do y'all think about the Mountain West? You know, San Diego State, SMU, Tulane, UNLV. Tulane was like 11-2. I mean, they went from like 1-11 to beating USC last year in a bowl game. Maybe they're on the up and up. Maybe the Pac-12 can merge with the Mountain West, and maybe that can be promising for the Pac-12 to stay alive. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think that'll ever happen, just because the academics thing. They're going to want to pick the best brands out of Mountain West. The way you got to look at that is, with the Pac-12 merging with the Mountain West, sure, you're picking up more teams and you're gaining numbers, but you're hurting the overall value. And no offense to my Mountain West subscribers, but like the big brands, like I wish the Pac-12 would get over themselves and bring in Boise State. I think Boise State would be a tremendous, tremendous addition to the Pac-12, especially football, but because their academics aren't great, the Pac-12 will never let them in. So they're off the board, okay? San Diego State, well, they're actually getting, even though San Diego State isn't elitist, their academics are still pretty good, and it helps the Pac-12 recover some of that Southern California market. So they are, what I'm hearing, they are adding San Diego State. SMU has kind of cooled off, but I've heard it's still possible to get SMU.
We have a Pac-12 guy that came in.
I'm with you, Mayhem. I would go out and get Tulane for sure. Tulane has AAU status. It stretches you out east a little bit, and who knows, if you go out and get Tulane and the ACC crumbles, maybe you have a shot with some teams out of the ACC, because, I mean, that's some great academic schools over there in the ACC. I think Tulane would be a home run move for the Pac-12. You're moving east. Their AU status, great academics. Their football is at a high right now. I mean, maybe it was a fluke. I don't know. But it is at a high right now. You're in a great recruiting market, and it puts you right at the doorstep of the ACC, just in case the ACC crumbles, and gives you at least a chance to grab some of those teams.
We have a Pac-12 guy. I sent him the link because we were talking Pac-12, so I wanted to invite him in here to talk with us. What are you doing, Steve?
Absolutely.
So how you doing, Chris?
I'm great, buddy. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm not going to be able to add anything that Tony hasn't told everybody. I know you got a show to do, but I think everyone needs just to relax a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm with you on the take that just because we haven't heard anything, that means bad news. I mean, this is big business. They're not going to move fast and do what they have to do. I don't think that there's a chance that the Pac-12 is going to fold. I'm sorry, there is a chance, obviously, but it's not as big as people are trying to make it sound. You still do. Let's think about this. I don't know much about the TV and grant of rights and all that stuff, but I will tell you this. It sure as heck hasn't been UCLA and USC running the Pac-12 the past 7-8 years. SC had a good 16 and 17, but they popped up a couple times earlier in the decade. But really, this conference has belonged to Stanford and to Oregon and to Utah and to Washington, pretty much for the past 10 years. So it's not like they're going to fall away. The programs you were naming, the schools you're talking about, and the fact that there's one thing Kliakov has done right. I think he lit a fire in his ass and said, "Hey, look, you guys got to go out and pretend like you want to play football and hire some decent coaches." Because the coaches that have been around in the Pac-12 the better part of a decade, there's a few have popped around, but even Shaw, you see them get rid of Shaw. That's what's there. But as long as Whittingham stays at Utah, as long as I think that as long as the coaching stability stays strong, and who knows, I'm not sold like Tony and Rick on Coach Prime at Colorado. He sure is getting some players in there, but I'm really not so certain they're going to pop up anything special. I hope they can keep going because that would be another feather in the Pac-12's cap. But I don't see them going away, nor do I see. Here's the thing. Here's the real big thing. I see like a guy's. I don't want to say his name. There's a Big 12 guy that loves to talk about the ending of the Pac-12. He's been doing it for about a couple of months now, doing victory laps. Nothing's settled yet. You know what I mean? It's far from all that. This guy's doing victory laps that he's right and the Pac-12's gone and it's just a matter of time. I got news for everyone, and I'm not being an ass because I'm going to the Big Ten. But if you're not in the Big Ten or the SEC, it's not going to be that much a difference. You guys are just kind of squabbling with each other. It's unfortunately both the Pac-10 and the Big 12 and the ACC are per school are going to be getting a fraction of what the SEC and the Big Ten are getting. So what do we really argue over? That these schools can get 2 or 3 more million? I mean, that's not going to save anybody. No one should be looking. If the Pac-12 gets maybe $1 million or 2 more, or the Big 12 gets $1 million or 2 more, really, what are we even talking about? Do you know what I mean? That's nothing on a budget as well. So,
and I agree with that. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, I'm a fan of West Virginia. We're in the Big 12, but I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up people's rear end and say, the Big 12 has the better brands. No. Even with USC and UCLA going to the Big 10, as far as brand-wise goes, the Pac-12 has more premium brands compared to the Big 12. In fact, I would say the Big 12 has 0 premium brands. I think the 2 premium brands just left, Oklahoma and Texas. Whereas with the Pac-12, yes, you're losing USC and UCLA, and USC is definitely a premium brand. UCLA, I guess you could consider them one, but they've been iffy recently. The biggest thing that hurts with the Pac-12 is the TV market. I mean, losing the city of Los Angeles is a massive blow. There is no way to cover that up or explain it away. There is no way. But what I will say is they still have Washington. They still have Oregon. They still have Utah. I mean, those are 3 really strong brands, stronger than any brand in the Big 12. And this is a West Virginia fan talking here. Oklahoma State, decent brand, but doesn't compare to any of those 3. Texas Tech, decent brand, doesn't compare. BYU, decent brand, doesn't compare. And that'll really light a fire between that rivalry between BYU and Utah. But it is what it is. So the biggest issue that I've had is the leadership of the Pac-12. I am hoping that the Big 12 does not pick up any teams from the Pac-12 because being a West Virginia fan on the east side of the Big 12, that would absolutely hurt us as far as scheduling. Our scheduling is already brutal, especially in basketball. It's bad in football. it's worse in basketball. I mean, we're doing this every week. I mean, boom, 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 boom. It's ridiculous. And when I say every week, I'm talking about 2 or 3 times a week. Basketball isn't a once a week game that they play. I mean, they play 2 or 3 times a week, so they're bouncing all over the country. You add in the four corner schools, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado, possibly Washington and Oregon, although I don't think that's happening. But I'm just saying, for the sake of argument, adding those teams, I mean, it becomes a logistic nightmare for West Virginia. So, yes, I'm doing all these videos on the possible downfall of the Pac-12, and, Arizona and Arizona State aren't happy with, going all streaming, and, the possibility of the Four Corners going over to the Big 12, running through the scenarios. But I'm actually hoping that it doesn't happen, because as bad as it's been for West Virginia fans, it would get even worse if that happened. And the argument that's been thrown back is, well, those brands coming in wouldn't be that difficult. So even if it was a road game, it wouldn't matter. Well, Colorado was an all-time bad team last year, yes. But they brought in Deion Sanders, and the recruiting has gone through the roof. So I think they turn into a bowl team this year. And a bowl team can beat West Virginia. Make no bones about it. You go on the road and play Colorado in that high altitude, West Virginia gets beat by 20 by a bowl team, all right? So Utah, don't even want to talk about it. We would get crushed at Utah. Arizona and Arizona State, we'd probably have a chance to win that. But once again, the travel could even things out. So I don't want to even hear about that. I hope it doesn't happen, but better decisions have to be made. But to your point, Tim, all this stuff is going behind closed doors. So, on the outside looking in, we look at it and we're like, when is the TV deal going to be announced? They're saying they got it. Now they're saying that they don't. Now they're saying that they do. Yeah. And so it just seems like every day that passes, it's like, that tells me no deal has done. How do you look into that situation? How confident are you that they do have a TV deal, even though it hasn't been announced?
I'm confident in the fact that, again, it's a unique time slot. Your Mark even said it. They want that Pacific time slot, the late night TV. Although people laugh at it, they pull good numbers, because you're at a bar on the East Coast and it's 10 o'clock. What's everyone watching? They're watching, or if you're at home, if you're a football fan, late at night, you're watching it. We're going to watch. You watch a Pac-12 team, or you're going to wait up till midnight and watch some Hawaii game or something. There are a lot of people that do watch Pac-12 football. Can I just a couple of things Remick said? This guy Remick Johnson. Couple of things, Remick. Look, I respect Larry Pilgrim in the chat, and I respect your coach Kyle Whittingham. But be careful when you start getting all tough about how bad USC is. We've been crap for. I was trying to be a little bit light. USC still had the second. It's in our worst decade ever, Remick. In probably our worst decade ever, going back to 1950. We still had the second most Pac-12 conference wins, behind Oregon. But you know what that was? That was 2 or 3 games, man. So in our worst ever decade, we still had more conference wins than your best ever decade. So slow your roll a little bit there, buddy. Okay? One more thing. Sorry, Joey. We are still the Pac-12. We're going to be playing you guys at the Coliseum. We will still be a Pac-12 team for one more year. And if you want to look at the trophy case of the Pac-12 conference, all those Heisman trophies and national championship trophies, there's like 25 of them. Well, about 19 of them belong to USC. Okay, 19 of the 25 Heisman's or national championships in our conference, 19 of 25 all belong to USC. So show a little respect, man. And I'm done.
Now, I want to say something. So going back to what Gordon Blue Dude said about the Big 12, I think I'm just going to say something real quick. I think the biggest mistake the Big 12 made was getting rid of Nebraska. I think that was probably the biggest mistake there. And then going back to what you said earlier, Tim, I do agree with what you said about top tier programs in the Pac-12, Utah, Washington, Oregon. I mean, y'all got to remember that Oregon and Washington are the only 2 Pac-12 teams to make the college football playoffs, and they're still, to me, pretty strong in the Pac-12. So got to remember that. And then also, from what Golden Blue Dude was saying earlier about not having no news. A lot of people say no news is good news. That's what some people say. So
Well, Pac still has like a year on their other contracts, so there's not really a hurry. I wanted to say something real quick. I'm not trying to change the subject, but I wanted to say something about this little network that we have. So um, I started noticing that people were having trouble finding somebody that would, that they could trust to do their shirts and their hats and anything that they could do. Plus, the prices were through the roof for crap merchandise. If anybody's ever ordered a T-shirt from a content creator on YouTube that uses like what's that Teespring, that stuff's crap. It lasts maybe 2 months and it's gone. Right? It's not any good. The shirt's all out of whack. The logo's coming off. So that stuff's crap. So I got with a bunch of YouTubers. Some of them are already in my network that work with me, like Twisted Rooster, Eat 'em Dogs, Mark Rogers, Golden Blue Dude. I got with quite a few of them and said, why don't we create a network of people that want quality merchandise to sell? And that's what we've done. So we created this network. We have Golden Blue Dude, Mark Rogers, Eat 'em Dogs, Twisted Rooster, Twisted Chicken Cooking. We have Ben exploring with Ben and Sam. I'm missing some, but we've got a huge network. Now here's what you get out of that. If you go to any of your pages, you can go to pixieandpete.com, goldenbluedude.com, thevoiceofcollegefootball.com. If you click on the merchandise tab, it'll take you to a merchandise store for every one of these guys in the network. And when you order there, guess what? I make the merchandise. I created it myself. I went and bought all the equipment and everything, and we bought quality products. I mean, top quality products. So when you buy a T-shirt from us, you're getting a T-shirt that's going to last for quite a while. These are quality. And so anybody in the network, Mark Rogers, and if you buy from two creators, so if you go and buy a Golden Blue Dude shirt and a Pigskin Pete shirt, you're going to get a discount. If you buy from three, you're going to get a bigger discount. So there's discounts built in on it already. It was a great way. Not only that, but now we've got Twisted Rooster, who has the channel Twisted Chicken Cooking. If somebody else type in Rooster in the chat, it'll give you a link to that. How about going that up? Let's help build him and get him going. I don't know how many subs he's got on Twisted Chicken right now. It's like maybe 12 or 15. Let's try to bump him up a little bit if you would. And also Eat 'em Dogs. If you'll search for Eat 'em Dogs, because it's not coming up, but it's youtube.com/@eatemdogs, EATEMDAWGS. Sub him up as well. We have a great network of YouTubers here. Some of them are brand new. Some of them have been doing it for a long time, like Pigskin Pete, Mark Rogers, Golden Blue Dude. But we have a lot of newcomers too. We need to support them. They do a great job for us. So that's all I wanted to say. And I didn't mean to change the subject on that, but we're launching this. We've got all the YouTube channels, all the YouTube creators in our network have web pages now and have a merchandise store. So, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, me
Thank
too.
you, Mr. G.
Let me ask everybody in the chat. Do you think that if the Pac-12, I don't know myself. I haven't made my mind up on this. But if the Pac-12 would have made the playoffs, do you think they would have had a better chance of getting a TV deal with ESPN with Tier 1 rights? Do you think that would have helped with their value? I tend to think that possibly could have helped their stock a little bit, because, the playoffs makes the conference money. The conference makes the network money. And so maybe ESPN looks again, it's like, yep, we knew it. They got one game there. They were one game away and they blew it again. So, our faith in the Pac-12 making us money is shaken again. Do y'all think that would have made any difference if the Pac-12 would have made the playoffs?
I don't think so. Only because the reason why I said that is because you had, like I said earlier, Washington and Oregon make the playoffs, and Utah. I mean, if they didn't lose to Florida, they're a one-loss team, Pac-12 champion. They would have been in the playoffs over Ohio State. So I don't know. I don't think so. I know you asked the chat, but I'm gonna just go ahead and put my 2 cents in. I think ESPN. I think the end game is ESPN is going to own the rights to all of college football. That's just my opinion. The end game.
Fox is here to stay too. I disagree.
Fox is a big player, man.
Yeah, Fox has a crap ton of money.
ESPN because ESPN don't want it.
Honestly, seriously, I think one day whenever the next TV deal is up, I think Fox has this plan. They might step up and try to outbid ESPN for the SEC. I'm not saying that they'll succeed, but don't dismiss Fox. Fox is a big time player in this, and I would give them a puncher's chance of pulling off a shocker and getting the next TV deal with the SEC. It just depends on how much money they can throw the SEC's way. Now I know there's big time deep ties between the SEC and ESPN, and nobody could ever see that happening. But guess what? Money talks. So never say never.
You got to be careful. True. Also, you're talking about all this stuff. Don't conflate the issue. SEC has the best football because the SEC has the best defensive linemen and interior offensive linemen pretty much in the entire country. Okay, so they have the best players down there. They aren't the biggest revenue producing conference. You have a lot of diehard fans in the Big Ten footprint, and now you're adding the LA market with USC. If somehow, and I'm just saying this, Matthew, if somehow the Big Ten got Notre Dame, man, I don't know. Then you're looking at Florida State and Miami. That's the next two big jewels down there when you have ACC. But if somehow the Big Ten were able to get, and I mean, I can't imagine. I know there's a lot of bad blood going back to Fritz Chrysler, the AD at Michigan, between Notre Dame and Michigan, the Big Ten. But man, if they landed Notre Dame on a contract with USC, with Notre Dame's national recruiting, and they were already doing, I'm not sure, we could ask someone that knows more than me, but I'm pretty sure revenue-wise, clearly not on the field, but revenue-wise, the Big Ten was actually making more money. And so now you add USC. Now you got two great teams in Oklahoma and Texas coming in, right? But I think if you have LA market with USC and Notre Dame, that's going to eclipse both those schools. So I don't know, man.
But Tim, on what you're just saying, if the Big Ten steps up and they go for Florida State and Miami, do you not think the SEC is going to pull in Clemson and North Carolina? Do you not think they're going to go after Virginia and get the market in Washington and go for the DC area?
Well, they already have the DMV. They already have the DMV with Maryland. Remember, they have Maryland.
But Notre Dame's not going for it. Notre Dame's not going to pay second fiddle in the Big Ten to Ohio State and Michigan. You already know that. So
I agree. I can disagree with that because I think if they keep evolving the playoff scenario to where it gets to where you almost have to be in a conference to make the playoffs, then, Notre Dame could eventually be forced. I mean, right now there's an incentive to be in a conference because Notre Dame has no chance whatsoever to get a bye week in the playoffs. And then the funny argument that Notre Dame fans throw my way is, well, since we're not in a conference, we don't have to play in the conference championship, so that is our bye week.
But I would go a step further. And I would say this. I don't know. No, at some point the money is going to be too ridiculous for Notre Dame to turn down. Yes, they've got their own contract with Notre Dame, but I mean, I think that they're taking actually less money because I get it. Notre Dame is a proud and amazing program, blue blood, and they don't have to because even as badass as Notre Dame's football is, their university is top notch as well. They're making more money through their university than they're making through football. But the issue is going to be at some point is if you want to compete on the highest level. Remick or someone else made the point about, if we stay in the Big Ten and the Pac-12, we'll be guaranteed a trip to the playoffs. You will, but will you be able to win in the playoffs? The distance between the haves and have-nots are so messed up right now. It's ruining football, and I love football. USC had to go. They couldn't stay the Pac-12. They wouldn't have been competitive if they stayed the Pac-12.
But that's why I keep stirring the pot in this because a lot of these fans that are fans of teams that are in the either ACC, Big 12, or Pac-12 are like, go to Blue, dude, settle down. Look at the playoffs. We're guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. So you're fine with just that? You don't want your conference to be better? I hate that argument. Yes, of course. Being in the Big 12 or the Pac-12 or the ACC is an easier path than the SEC. And I'll say the Big Ten once USC and UCLA joins, but maybe not right now because the Big Ten is very top heavy. But I mean, that can't be your argument, because once you get to the playoffs, you still have to beat those teams from those other conferences. And yes, TCU shocked everybody by beating Michigan, but because of their lack of depth and what you talked about earlier, the line of scrimmage, they got freaking manhandled by Georgia and got absolutely embarrassed. If they want to be even with Georgia when they do get to the playoffs, they're going to have to get out of the Big 12 and get into the SEC, which I don't see happening, but that's my point. Before we go any further, let me remind everybody in the comments, if you have a comment, question, troll attempt, you want to make fun of me, whatever, any of that stuff, please hit the super chat button. It is the little dollar sign that you see in the bottom right-hand corner. Anything you put in that super chat will go on the screen, not just on one channel, but I am actually simulcasting. I am on Golden Blued and West Virginia football at the Voice of College Football. If you're not subscribed over there at the West Virginia channel of the Voice of College Football, Mark Rogers, please do so. We are marching to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer, so we would greatly appreciate your support. So if you hit the super chat and you put a comment in there, your comment is not only going to be on this channel, but it's going to be on that channel as well. So it'll be double worth your money.
Going back to the Notre Dame talk, I think if Notre Dame joined the conference, and I've always thought this, and I still will believe this forever. I think, they're already affiliated with ACC. I think they'll probably join the ACC, and I'll tell you why. Because whenever they did the COVID year, they went to the ACC championship. They did in fact lose, but they this past year they played Clemson and they beat Clemson. With that being said, I do think they're very familiar with ACC competition, and I do think that I do believe that Notre Dame is going to get way better in recruiting, even if they don't join the conference. But you just got to give Marcus Freeman a few more years. But I do believe that they would probably join the ACC. And talking about beating playoff teams and whatever, Clemson, I mean, they won 2 national championships in the span of a 4-year span. So they did in fact beat Clemson last year. You can make the excuses, but they have beat top tier teams. But I do like Notre Dame to the ACC. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, there's a couple things.
The Bobby Bowden decision and, take the easier path to the playoffs. Sorry, I cut you off, Tim. My bad.
No, that's okay. I just think we have to keep in mind that choosing between the ACC and the Big Ten, right? Unless you're going to get a bunch of teams from the SEC or the Big Ten to join the ACC and revitalize it to get a new, their new grant rights for the future goal for the ACC, I think we could assume that the money and the prestige will be in one of those 2 conferences I named. So if Notre Dame was going to join the SEC or the Big Ten, and for every reason imaginable, they're in South Bend, Indiana, right smack dab in the middle of the conference. They have always, as much as they now are pissed off and they enjoy their independence, and they're willing to take less money to stay independent. And I don't think it's because they're afraid to join a conference. I think they take a lot of pride. Their fans take a lot of pride in it. Their administration takes a lot of pride in it, and that's why they're not moving. I just feel at some point the money's going to be too much. And tradition-wise, they've got rivals in USC. They've got rivals in Michigan, Michigan State. Those are 3 teams that Notre Dame has played a lot of games against over the years for a lot of big marbles. Who do they have?
Think it'll be the money.
With Clemson?
Tim, I don't think it'll be the money that'll drive them there. I think it'll be the playoff system and the way the playoffs are going to be set up. That'll drive them into a conference.
Right now,
what Mayhem mentioned earlier, their pride. Well, everybody's talked about it. Notre Dame's pride. I think that's the one wild card that actually could get Notre Dame to join the ACC, because, like everybody's talked about, do they want to be second fiddle to Ohio State in the Big Ten? Would they want to be second fiddle to Alabama or whoever, Georgia in the SEC? They go to the ACC. Who are they going to be second fiddle to? Nobody. Clemson? No, they're not going to be second fiddle to Clemson. They've proven they can beat Clemson. On a regular basis. I know they lost in the ACC championship, and they have lost to Clemson, but They really don't have that much trouble with Clemson. So if the money argument is not a big deal, then it doesn't matter how much money the Big Ten throws Notre Dame's way. It's going to come down to, what feeds that pride, what keeps that machine going. And by Notre Dame joining the ACC, number one, they would be deemed the savior of the ACC. And if you don't think that Notre Dame wouldn't wear that badge proudly, then you don't know Notre Dame very well. Because I do think that they would wear that badge proudly, and they would have an easier path to the playoffs. And they wouldn't be second fiddle to anyone in the ACC.
I disagree with what you just said right there because I'll say this and I'll be quiet. But so the people are even talking about Florida State potentially being a contender for the playoffs next year. North Carolina was a very good team. They made the ACC championship.
Right, but I'm talking brand versus brand. Nobody can touch Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, you're right on that. But as far as like a easier path, I wouldn't go. I mean, whenever Miami becomes good, I mean, all these teams are in the ACC. Whenever they become good, I mean, come on, man.
Oh, mayhem. You
It
know I
ain't gonna
love
be
you,
easy.
man. You know I love you. I'm a big fan of you, but I cannot disagree with you any more than what I disagree with you right now. You cannot sit there and tell me that Notre Dame joining the ACC is not an easier path than the SEC. It is.
It is, yeah.
Way
That
easier.
is, yes.
And
But I'm
especially
talking
with
about-
USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten, it's an easier path through unless they schedule all the cupcake games in the Big Ten. The ACC is the easiest path, and they would be deemed the savior of the ACC, and there would be no playing second fiddle to another team in the ACC. So if you're going by ego, if money's not the issue, and you're going by ego, then the ACC would be the choice. But if money is the issue, then it would be the Big Ten. However, don't forget that as long as the ACC exists, if Notre Dame does join a conference, it has to be the ACC by 2036. So for Notre Dame to even think about joining the Big Ten, the ACC has to be torpedoed.
Well, a couple things
Now,
on that.
I was saying-
A couple things. Let me get in really quick. A couple things on that. They're only a partial member of the ACC. I don't know. I've never seen the actual numbers, but also that buyout's going to go down every year. I think everyone's talking about, but they're not going to run that thing all the way out. They're talking about it's going to run through 2030. And if anyone, so raise your hand here if you think that Miami and Florida do not leave to the SEC or the Big Ten when that thing runs out.
Miami goes to the Big Ten. Florida will the SEC. But I'm gonna.
I'd say the other way around. I think Florida State, the Big Ten, Miami to the SEC.
Right, and I want to touch on something GBD said earlier. Mountain West and the Pac-12. Why would Oregon, Washington, and these big teams water down a conference with the Mountain West? Do you not think they're going to jump out for money? Oregon's not going to sit there like that. They got Nike money. They're getting out of there. They're not watering down a conference just to say they have a conference. No, they're going somewhere, and somebody's going to pay big bucks to get them there. They're not going to just sit there and say, oh, we're just water down our conference with a bunch of small teams with games that no one's going to watch, especially if it's on Apple or Amazon. It doesn't make sense. And, like, Florida State's not going to the SEC. Florida's not going to allow it. Miami's not going to the SEC.
Florida State won't allow it. They don't
wait, hang on.
Old school SEC, brother. They got money in the SEC. They're not letting them teams come in.
Listen, let me counter that real quick, and then I'll go to you, Tim. Respectfully, I disagree. I don't think any teams in the SEC will keep Florida State out because the numbers aren't there. There's not enough teams to keep them out because they're voted in or voted out. Florida State will keep Florida State out. Florida State does not want to go to the SEC. That's why they're pursuing AAU status right now, and they're getting really, really close. Florida State wants to jump to the Big Ten. It's not that teams in the SEC will keep them out. Florida State will keep themselves out. They want to go to the Big Ten.
That could be true, but I'm just saying I don't see Florida State going in the SEC, and Miami's not going to see. Clemson's probably not going in the SEC. If I see anybody, I see West Virginia maybe sliding over. I could see Virginia Tech or Virginia, one of those schools up in that Washington, that just that area because it's new to the footprint of the SEC.
But I do want to clarify one thing that I said earlier about to Golden Blue Dude. I was saying that to say that going from independent to the ACC would be an easier path. That's what I was saying that I disagree with. Obviously, I think it's easier than the SEC, but from going independent to the ACC, it would be a small step harder.
Okay,
still-
couple things going all the way back.
Notre Dame plays a Power 5 schedule. Notre Dame plays
Let's
Power 5
going back
schedule
all the way early. I've been trying to get his word in about Notre Dame, you guys. Notre Dame is not going to join. So I don't see Florida State and Miami in the future of the ACC. Notre Dame can't carry a conference by. Notre Dame is awesome, but they can't carry the carcass of whatever is going to be left of the ACC when you lose maybe a North Carolina, a Florida State, and a Miami, and a Clemson possibly. I can see Clemson going. I mean, we can say, oh no, South Carolina won't let that happen. They're not going to want Clemson. But what about Texas and Texas A&M? I thought A&M said they weren't going to let Texas in.
Yeah, but it's not.
So I don't know. It's going to come down because here's the problem: the SEC is going to find itself getting swallowed because if you forget Notre Dame, then if you give the Big Ten, so they're adding USC and UCLA, and then now they're going to add Miami and Florida State. Oh my God, I don't know. As a conference, if that'd be a great move, they might have to add them just to protect from getting just outnumbered by the Big Ten. They're going to have to. They're going to have to surrender. They have to do something.
To your point, Tim, adding Texas and Oklahoma, that's just more yes votes for your Clemsons and your Miamis. I understand that South Carolina doesn't want Clemson in. Maybe Georgia doesn't either. But there's the votes are not going to be there. It's not up to one or two teams. It takes a majority vote to keep a team out. And by adding Texas and Oklahoma, you're actually adding more yes votes. I think the SEC is doing steps deliberately, and by adding more numbers, then there's less of a chance that whenever the ACC does get torpedoed, that Clemson won't get turned down and whoever else. And the Florida State argument, it doesn't matter because Florida State doesn't want to be in the SEC. They want to be in the Big Ten. So it'll come down to Miami. And I think Miami will get all the yes votes as well. So I agree with Tim on the Clemson thing. I don't think there's going to be enough no votes to keep Clemson out.
And let's step back one more step. It's not the presidents or the ADs of these schools making the decisions anymore. It's ESPN and Fox are making decisions. ESPN says we want Texas, we want Oklahoma. A&M, shut the hell up because they're coming in.
Yep. Otherwise, West Virginia would already be in the SEC because the SEC wanted West Virginia over Missouri, but ESPN was like, take Missouri over West Virginia.
And Fox wanted USC. They wanted the LA market, and they told the Big Ten, you guys are taking these guys. Because I got news for you. There's no love for USC in the Big Ten. Not in Michigan, not at Ohio State. We've cost both those schools tons of national championships. There's no love. There's no love for us over there either. So it's all about TV money. Whatever makes the most sense to ESPN, that's who's going to join the SEC. Whatever makes the most sense to Fox, that's who's going to join the Big Ten. That's really what it's going to come down to.
Be honest, Golden Blue Dude. So whenever Missouri joined the SEC, it was whenever a lot of the East teams were down, and they won back-to-back SEC East championships. Do you think, hypothetically, if West Virginia were to join back then, that they would even touch the SEC championship?
Yeah, because look at the West Virginia teams from back then. West Virginia has fallen off a cliff since joining the Big 12. West Virginia was actually comparable. That's why they were on the list. They were actually comparable to Missouri back when they joined the Big 12. And maybe they take the same road as Missouri and be good the first 3 or 4 years and then slide down like Missouri right now. But we could be talking about two teams that absolutely mirror each other. So, yes, if West Virginia would have gotten accepted instead of Missouri, I think they could have had as much, maybe even a tad more success than Missouri. And maybe they do fall off like Missouri did. But if you look at when West Virginia joined the Big 12 and when Missouri joined the SEC, they were two very similar teams whenever it came to talent. In fact, West Virginia might have been just a little bit better of a talented team. If you look at the first year in the Big 12 that West Virginia was in, we actually started off the season, I think it was 5-0, ranked in the top 5, but then that Big 12 schedule kicked in and the stupid traveling, and we reeled off like 4 or 5 straight losses and fell off a cliff, and Dana Holgorsen was a terrible hire. So things fell apart rather quickly. But as far as where the talent was and where the program was, I would say West Virginia was a little bit ahead of Missouri. I mean, that's the only reason they were even being considered. I mean, Missouri's TV market is way better than West Virginia's. But the fact that our football program was slightly ahead of Missouri, that's what kept us in the race as long as we were in the race.
Yeah, if you look at the talent West Virginia had, again, I mean, we're talking Geno Smith. Right, we're talking Geno Smith, Tavon Austin, Zedmund Bailey, 3 high-level NFL players and be a Bruce Irving. I mean, we were amazing, both offense and defense. So we had a good chance. And the travel in the Big 12 was killed us. I mean, let me tell you what, it's not easy to go to Lubbock. It's not easy to get there. It's tough. And plus, anytime we play a game out there, we have to travel like on Thursday to get acclimated to the time change on Friday and practice on Friday and then play the game on Saturday and then come home on Sunday. So it's not like if we're in the ACC and we can travel that morning or the night before. You know, we have to travel 2 days prior to a game. It makes a big difference. It's harder on the football players, bottom line. It's harder on the baseball players. It's harder on the basketball players. You know, and basketball in the Big 12 is already hard enough. So, yeah, it's just tough to play in the Big 12 when you're West Virginia. And Cincinnati and UCF are going to see that too. It's going to be very tough for them.
I think it's going to hit them even harder because they're not at the level that
West Virginia. Right, they don't have the talent West Virginia's got. So yeah, it'll hit them a lot harder. Yeah. Hey, Twisted Rooster, I asked a question. Is Tori there with you?
Yeah, she's back here cooking.
Let me see her. Let's see what she's cooking if you can. All right, so Twisted Rooster there, they have a channel called Twisted Chicken Cooking. And they cook. And Tori, come out here and say hi to everybody. We can't hardly see you back here, hon.
Hi. I can't see you. I see their.
Joe said he wants to see your chicken.
Yeah, let's see your chicken. So Tori, there's a great cook. You need to watch some of her videos. She does a great job. And then things, Twisted Chicken Cooking. Somebody type in Rooster, and it'll bring up Nightbot will bring up their channel link. It's great, you know. So I'm really excited about them guys. They're going to grow real good, and having a cooking channel. They're going to do some tailgating food and stuff, things like that. Oh man, that looks good. I can't say it though. There we go. That looks good. Nice. All right.
That looks like chicken.
Yeah, they're going to do some tailgating food. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then eat them dogs, man.
I'm actually, you know what, if we can't get it done this year because of logistics or whatever in my schedule, we'll set up a time to where me and Rooster and maybe even Mayhem Matthew, whoever wants to tailgate at an SEC game or an ACC game, wherever, I'll do it. Even though I'm a West Virginia fan, I'll go. I've been to Clemson. I've been to the ACC championship back in 2013 when Florida State whooped Duke. Let's see. I've been to Georgia Tech. I've been to Virginia Tech once. I want to go to Tennessee. I really want to go to Tennessee. So as long as it's within my range, it doesn't have to be West Virginia. I'll go anywhere. So and especially with that kind of food, I'm in. I am in. Counting in.
and eat them dogs there. So Mayhem Matthew. Everybody remembers Mayhem Matthew. He used to do some videos. And he did a little bit of every kind of video, but he's decided to concentrate on college football, and he's really knowledgeable about college football. Does a great job on his channel. He calls himself Eat 'em Dogs now, and you can find that by going to youtube.com/@eatemdogs. It's DAWGS. But Mayhem Matthew, man, well, Eat 'em Dogs now. He's tearing it up, man. He's doing a good job on his videos. Been sick last week. I hope he's feeling better. You feeling better there, Matthew?
Yep, I'm just now getting over it. My voice still kind of sounds weird, but we're rocking and rolling, and I cannot wait to bring out some more content for the guys and the gals.
You know, I can get out the cold and the flu and even COVID and still do videos and live shows. Whenever I get a stomach bug, I can't do that. And I had that, I think it was on Tuesday, and Joey had to do the show. That I cannot stand. So I feel for you, man. Hopefully you're feeling better. I didn't even know you were sick, so I'm glad you're feeling better, buddy.
And Tim does a great job on Mark Rogers' channel. Tim, your channel, you got a USC show over there, and you got a Pac-12 After Dark show that you host over there as well, don't you?
Yeah, well, a lot of that's going to be. We don't do that much in the off season, but we are firing up. We're going to do for this training camp starting for everyone, spring ball starting for everyone. So that should be a busy season for us with all the additions they have at USC. So Rick and I are firing up a SC weekly show on Sunday afternoons. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out.
Hey, Joey, I got to head out of here and do the whole morning routine for the school. If y'all want to keep going, be my guest. But I got to run. But I don't want to end it for y'all if y'all want to keep going.
Well,
Yeah, that's fine. So you need me to boot you out of here?
Kick me off, and you can end it whenever you want to.
Okay. All right. I would do that. All right. Well, we won't be here much longer. We're just gonna hang out for a little bit and talk. But yeah, man, I love watching those videos of Tori up here cooking. She does an amazing job of cooking, and so does Rooster. Rooster makes some fantastic food over there. Them potatoes he made the other night. Oh wow, I got to make some of those. Those things were great. And I loved your dip. I loved your taco dip.
Now, Rooster, I have a question. Rooster, will there be an appearance of Rooster cooking at the Slob Olympics?
Well, probably not cooking since we have to drive 8.5 hours to get there. But we will be there. And I'll give you a hint on how you'll find me, Matthew.
Why are you going to do that?
What?
You're going to get
So he knows who I am.
So if everybody don't know, the Slob Olympics, everybody dresses up. So I won't give away what Golden Voodoo's costume is going to be. But let me tell you what. You would want to be there to see it. So if anybody lives near Isle of Palm, South Carolina, everybody's invited. If you just watch the shows or whatever, go to Isle of Palms on March 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the Slob Olympics. It's amazing. So that's pretty neat.
From out west to join us.
Yeah, I think Tim's not going to make it though.
No, I got a promotion.
Oh, did you get it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got it. I mean, it's bittersweet, but for my family, it's good news. Yeah, I got a coordinator position, so unfortunately that means I'm working weekends too. So that puts me out. The very first week I'll be working is the Slob Olympics. I can't tell TF yet. He's probably gonna kill me. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I will go ahead and we'll end this stream tonight. But I'm gonna let these guys tell you where to find them at on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you got going on. Tim, we'll start with you. Tell them where to find you at.
Yeah, so I think not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, we are going to be firing up the inaugural. We're going to call it you're going to love this, all you Utah fans. It's going to be the Trojan Conquest Live is what we're going to do as a show just leading up to the season. And then once season starts again, we'll break back into our post-game show, USC post-game show with Rick, Tony, and myself on Mark Rogers' USC channel.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here, Tony. Appreciate you coming in and giving us a Pac-12 view. Tim, I mean, it wasn't right to sit here and talk about Pac-12. I'm not a Pac-12 guy here. So I appreciate you coming in like on short notice and helping us out. Appreciate you, buddy. Even Dogs, man. Tell us a little bit about where to find you at and everything and what you got going on.
So, like I said before, a lot of people know me before as Mayhem Matthew. But you can find me on my new YouTube channel at Eat 'em Dogs. Just type in Eat 'em Dogs. Should be one of the first ones that pop up. I really appreciate it. I appreciate what Joey's doing for Eat 'em Dogs and come be a family. And you don't have to be a Dogs fan. We talk college football, but like I said, this weekend I got some great content coming for y'all. So stay tuned. Turn on your post noties.
So I have a comment here in the chat. Let me bring it up on the screen because he wants everybody to comment on this. Let's see what he says. He says, because we need to, this is from Anthony Manzano, because we need to realize that for a state, when they were independent, outright said they would never go into the SEC and chose ACC because it was an easier path. They're talking about the Notre Dame there. And Yeah, I don't. It's true. I mean, they want to be in the ACC. It is an easier path, and they joined the ACC for that reason. I'm sure. And here's his other comment. Panel, we need to realize that Florida State and the SEC have bad blood, and they do. Man, they got really bad blood. There's no way in hell that the conference is going to let FSU in. Agree 100% with you, Anthony. Not going to happen.
That's a good point. But again, that's just a win for the Big Ten. I mean, if you allow those schools to be going into North Florida, which is right on the border of Georgia, right? Which is right of the Florida. Yeah, you get a little foothold there, and with recruiting, that's exactly what they would want.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing too. Notre Dame and Michigan have some very, very bad blood. That goes back to the 30s, to the 1930s. So
but again, like I said earlier, the Notre Dame, Ohio State and USC has bad blood too. Michigan and USC has bad blood too, but they let us in. So I mean, I get all valid points.
I don't know if
I'll go back to what I said. I don't think it's the schools anymore, Joey.
Right.
I don't think it's the schools anymore. It's big TV money.
That TV money, yeah, exactly. It's going to bring the value up. Wherever Notre Dame goes is going to increase the value of that conference. Bottom line.
Well, so TV's already ruining it. Did you hear the latest rules they want to do? They want to get rid of the clock stopping on incomplete passes, except for the last 2 minutes. I mean, they already got rid of. Remember, they squeezed that rule in where if you go out of bounds, the clock still runs unless it's in the last 2 minutes. The games didn't get shorter. We just got more damn commercials. Do you know what I mean?
Right. That's what's making the games long. They just need to slow down on these commercials. And every time the money goes up, that is more commercials. And so the networks are driving these changes to our college football games. They're driving to say, okay, we got to shorten the game so we can add more commercials. It's still going to be 3 hours. So,
and they're trying to hide.
Look at it.
They're trying to hide. They're trying to say that's for the player. It's to protect the players, Joey. But we're going to go from 11 games to 12 games. Now we have conference games. So then it became 13 games. And then now we have a playoffs. Now it's 14, 15, 16 games. I mean, it's not about player safety. They're full of crap. You're going to shave a couple of minutes off each game, but you could add 3 or 4 more games on it. It has nothing to do with player safety. It's just, again, it's just longer TV timeouts.
But I want to say thank you, Golden Blue Dude and Joey, for allowing me to come on. I got to get up early in the morning, so I'm going to have to get on out of here.
All right, Matthew. Thanks for coming in. Eat them dogs, everybody. Be sure and sub him up. You're doing a great job over there.
Next weekend, buddy.
Hey, Twisted Rooster, I want you to tell everybody yourself where to find you at, because you got Twitter. You're on Twitter and everything else, right?
Yep. The Twisted Rooster tailgating is on Twitter under Twisted Rooster, and then my beautiful wife has the cooking channel, the Twisted Chicken Cooking Channel, and we're building everything from ground up, and we just got started not long ago, and we've had the help of a lot of great people, and we appreciate everyone for letting us on and telling everybody about our.
Yeah. Can Tori come over and introduce herself to everybody and talk for a minute?
Yeah, she's right here. Come on, dear. You can have the seat. I'll move out of the way for the beautiful lady.
Okay.
No one can see my ugly butt anyway.
Get your ugly mug out of there. Hi, Tori. How are you?
Fine.
So I want you to tell everybody about your Twisted Chicken Cooking Channel. I mean, you're going to be doing some tailgating foods and stuff when the college football starts back up. But tell everybody what you're doing right now, because you cook out on the grill every day, right? You cook on the grill.
Oh yeah. Well, I cook in the house sometimes, but most of the time outside.
Yeah, because you're down in South Florida, so
Yeah.
nice weather.
I do a lot of cooking outside. I just do.
Don't be
I don't know.
nervous.
Yeah, don't be nervous. You're all right.
I do everything on the grill, actually. I stuff chicken.
You made some bacon wrapped chicken. You made what? You had bacon wrapped pork, not bacon wrapped pork. What was it you did the other day? Bacon wrapped.
It was a pork, smoked mustard and maple seasoning. We did, and also did stuffed sweet peppers with crab meat and cream cheese. I did those.
So you have a smoker, you have a smoker, you have a grill, and you have kind of a griddle too, because your grill will become a griddle. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that, but it's a grill and a smoker at the same time. So we have and then we have a separate smoker. So sometimes I'll do like I did a stuffed roast. So I smoked it first, out, and then I seared it. So I just do all kind of crazy stuff. I don't have no recipes. I do it just out of the.
So we want to push them. We want to push. We want to push these guys to 100 subs. If you guys will help us out, we just want to push them to 100 subs. Nightbot's going to put the link into their channel here, somewhere. There it is. Sub Twisted Rooster Cooking or Twisted Chicken Cooking is what it is. And if you click on that link, it'll take you there. Sub it up for good. Like I say, she's got some great videos over there, and going to show you some tailgate cooking. Wish I was cooking at the Slob. That'd be a nice video. Do that live. But anyway,
Yeah.
all right, guys, let's wrap this show up. Appreciate everybody coming in. Shout out to the chat, everybody that came in, everyone that super chatted. We really appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for being here. Tim, thank you so much for coming in last minute. Tori, you as well. Thanks for coming over and introducing yourself. Everyone have a great night, and we will see you next time.